What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the BCP podcast. Every week, I can go with that. I can go with that. Now, Preston, how you doing today? And Derek, man, love you, buddy. How you doing?
Hey, rocking and rolling, man. We got a good topic. Kind of excited about this one, man. So ready to get into it, Matt.
Awesome. Before we get ripping and rolling on this podcast today, we just want to bring a company, CG Real Estate Academy. We're fortunate enough they sponsored this week's show, and it's a really great company for all you athletes that are getting these NIL deals and you want to invest into real estate and build wealth for you and your family. Make sure you guys go on CG Real Estate Academy.com and sign up for those courses so that way you can invest your money. So we appreciate CG Real Estate for sponsoring this episode. So let's jump right on in. So this has been a really good season. We've been seeing stuff popping up left and right. We're having all these kids inboxing us saying, check us out. That includes teams like Jefferson and Leonard, Strawberry Crest. I mean, those three are local. Armwood obviously has had a bang out year. We started digging deeper. We saw teams like Wiregrass Ranch is 5-0. Mitchell's 5-0. Obviously, Venice looks like a very strong team this year. They're 5-0. Lakeland, it's no surprise, they are 5-0. And River Ridge is just some of the few that we've found, looking at some of these schedules that are 5-0. So it's been a great season for these teams. And, we want to dig deeper and see, are they going to make it out of the district into the playoffs, and are they state contested teams? So, Derek, you go first. Let me know some of these teams that we mentioned. Pick a team and who's going to knock them off.
Well, I mean, let's look at each one. I mean, I would almost pose that question to you guys. I'm just going to pull up the first one right here. Let's go CCC.
All right.
Let's start off right off the bat. Probably one of the strongest teams in the area. You've got to pick a team or teams on their schedule that's going to knock them off. They've got two powerhouse, obviously, with Venice, and they've got the out-of-state power in St. Francis Academy. Out of those two games, do they win both? Do they go 1-1, or do they lose both? That's a tough call. What do you guys think there?
All right. So, they got Indian Rocks coming up this week. The Northside Christian, they'll get both of those. Then they got Venice on the 18th of October, St. Francis, and they'll host both of them. So, fortunately, they're going to host both of them. Venice scores a lot, but they give up a lot also.
Yes, they do.
CCC has been fairly good on defense, man. They have not allowed more than 14 points in any given game this season. And my quick math tells me they probably allowed less than 50 total points this season. If they can defend Venice, they'll beat Venice. I'm going to say they beat Venice and they lose to St. Francis.
What do you think, Matt? 1-1, 2-0, or 0-2?
And I think that Venice is going to get them. Venice looks really good this year, man. 5-0. I think they got a mission. They're on a mission. I think where they lose to Lakeland last year to knock them out of everything. I think Venice is going to get CCC. That's going to end that record for them.
Well, I'm going to go against the grain here. I'm going to disagree with both of you guys. I think they're going 2-0. I think they're going to have an undefeated season, and so we're going to see what happens there. But yeah, I like the home field advantage. Like you said,
wait! I thought that was against the rules.
That's what he told us.
I could have sworn you made the rules. You got to pick one team who's most likely to take them down. You got to pick one.
It's got to be Venice. I mean, Venice has such a tradition. Just in the past 5 years, a little bit more than that too. But they show up when it comes playoff time. They've got a tradition-rich history in the playoffs. I think they're going to look at this game as a playoff type of game and a playoff type of setting. So I think Venice is going to be well prepared. But I do see this as a 50-50 toss. I mean, just looking at this game, this is going to be probably one of the better games of the entire year. And, you're going to see, Venice has that penchant for 50-point games, and CC with their defense. It's going to be a heck of a game. So a coin toss, but Venice has a deep experience playing those tough playoff type of games, just going so deep each year in the playoffs. So it's going to be a heck of a game. Hey, let's go to the next one. Let's go up in Pasco.
All right.
River Ridge. River Ridge is 5-0 this year, and they've got a Countryside. They got a battle with Countryside coming up. They play Mitchell, which is another undefeated team in Pasco. And they've got Wiregrass Ranch at the end of the year, too. So they've got a few undefeated teams still sitting there. What do you guys think of this? I mean,
not enough credit. Not enough credit the job that new coaching staff over River Ridge is doing. Nobody would have saw River Ridge being undefeated at this time. There was a point where River Ridge was probably one of the most consistent programs in Pasco County. I remember Sun Lake was up there. Sun Lake had a season, had a run with like 10 seasons straight in the playoff. Pasco had always been the cream of the crop in Pasco County, Pasco High School. Sun Lake kind of took that over. And then River Ridge was kind of neck and neck with Sun Lake. I'm going to go with they'll get past an 0-5 Countryside team, and I think Mitchell will take them down that following week. So I'm going to go the Mustangs on the 4th of October will probably end the win streak for River Ridge. We have to pick one if that's the name of the game, Derek. We got to remind Derek that he has to pick one because he named the game.
All right, so speaking of, we got Wiregrass Ranch. They're 5-0. We got to pick somebody that's going to knock them off. I'm going to say this, though, but for River Ridge, I think Wiregrass is going to beat River Ridge. So there's my team that's going to knock off the River Ridge team. And then I think that I really do like this Wiregrass team. I like the quarterback, Dylan Rose Bailey. That kid looks like he's I saw him as a freshman play, sophomore. Now I believe he's his junior this year. So I really do like this Wiregrass team. So, but if I have to pick somebody that's going to knock them off, I think Mitchell is going to knock them off, another undefeated team. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Well, and let's get back to River Ridge. I would agree with Preston on that. I think that River Ridge Mitchell game is going to be a heck of a matchup. I mean, this Mitchell team has tangled with some of the better teams in the area. And, they just knocked off Tampa Catholic this past Friday, beat an Eastlake team. I mean, always just a well-prepared team. That Mitchell game, that game against Mitchell's going to be the one to watch out for. And then following that up, Mitchell plays Wiregrass. But that's a nice little threesome right there with River Ridge, Wiregrass, and Mitchell. Out of that batch, I think Mitchell can take down River Ridge, and I think Wiregrass ends up knocking off Mitchell.
That would be nice.
So we'll see, but that would be my guess on that. Preston, what you got?
All right, so where are we now? Are we at Wiregrass? We all gave our guesses on River Ridge. Are we at Wiregrass now?
Yeah, I mean it's kind of all three of them clumped together, and they all play each other. We got Mitchell. We got Wiregrass and we got River Ridge, all 5-0, all playing each other here in the next few weeks.
All right, so I gave my River Ridge. I think Mitchell takes them down. Then we'll get that Wiregrass Mitchell run. Man, that's a tough one. I think if Wiregrass controls the line of scrimmage, which they're very good at, I think they'll continue to roll against Mitchell. I don't know if Mitchell has enough perimeter skill to beat Wiregrass's back half in their secondary. I'm going to hedge my bet. I'm gonna say Caden Thomas has a great game. He's gonna win the quarterback duel. But the running back matchup of Wiregrass, and the front line on each side propels Wiregrass to beat Mitchell. Oh, that was tough. That's a tough one.
And Mitchell, I tell you what, even if Mitchell slides by, they've got a one-loss Sun Lake team on the back end of that. So Mitchell's got a tough end of the year. They've got 2 undefeateds and a one-loss Sun Lake team. So it's just something to keep an eye out. And I think that's going to be a nice end of the year back half.
And see what a lot of people aren't recognizing. Wiregrass is scoring a lot of points, but they're creating a lot of offensive opportunities. Their defense is turning the ball over all the time. Their defense is turning teams over consistently, which is giving their offense more opportunities to score points. And the running backs they have back there, McNeil, I forget the other one's name, and so I apologize. I could probably find it quickly, but the 2 running back heads they have back there, they're fantastic, and the offensive line doesn't get enough credit. But the defense is really what's getting what was not get enough credit for what Wiregrass is doing this year.
Absolutely, they've got a kid over there, I think number 11. He's had a big year so far, a handful of sacks, just playing really, really great at that middle linebacker spot. But yeah, so hey, let's slide back into Tampa. I got to throw one at you. Jefferson High School.
All right.
You brought it up here a few weeks back, and we've been watching this team. They're undefeated right now, and they've got a favorable schedule. But I want you to pick one of the teams on their schedule that's gonna trip them up. We got Robinson, Middleton, Chamberlain, King, and Palmetto Ridge, just south of us here.
Oh boy. I'm gonna let Matt go first.
You gotta say Jefferson. Is that who we're looking at?
Looking at Jefferson.
So Jefferson.
Yep.
Man, first and foremost, I'm proud of Jefferson. 5-0. I think they went like 1-10 last year or something like that. So for them to be able to turn this all around, that's pretty remarkable. And honestly, knock them off. I think, man, I don't really. I'll say if I have to pick somebody, we'll go ahead and say Palmetto Ridge.
Yeah, I was kind of leaning with you. I don't know anything about Palmetto Ridge. I was kind of leaning between Chamberlain and Palmetto Ridge, right? I think Chamberlain would get up for that fight against Jefferson. Jefferson scored more than 36 plus points every game this season. Their offense they got like that old school high powered offense right now. I just don't know anything about Palmetto Ridge, so I'm gonna lean on the momentum Chamberlain may have this season. So I'm gonna go Chamberlain.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough call when you look at they've got a nice passing attack over Jefferson right now, putting up a lot of points. So I'm wondering if there's maybe not a pass rush that can maybe throw a monkey wrench in that. So it's a tough call. I'm going to go Robinson. Let's see if Robinson can get after them this Friday night and be their first.
Jack Cunningham's got dang near 2,000 yards already, bro. He's at 1,600 yards. He's ranked 25th in the hold on. In the nation? Yo, Jack is ranked 25th in the nation right now.
In the Tampa market. So
and 3rd in the state.
Yeah. He is balling.
3rd in the state in passing yards.
Throwing like crazy.
Yo, he's killing. He's killing.
Is it that they don't have
they got a
run game?
I tell you
or
what,
just throwing a lot, or what do you think, Preston?
I think a couple different factors. I think one, the kid's good. All right, I think he's good. I think that their schedule is favorable. You're not playing the greatest of teams, but you haven't been the greatest of teams in the past, so it really doesn't matter. You're playing likewise competition. They're just getting back to old ways. So credit to them. And then C, I think Jefferson, if you know the history of Jefferson, they've always been a pass first team. If they got a good running back, they'll utilize them, but they're going to throw it. They're going to throw the rock. Like they want to be that sexy offense. They always have been. So I think those three factors. They're going to throw the ball. Jack Cunningham is doing fantastic. Remember, he was hurt last year. He transferred out of Jesuit because they had a freaking packed quarterback room. And then now he comes in his senior season and he is just lighting on fire. And he's got options, right? He's got options. So credit to everything Jefferson's doing. I'm just going to go with Chamberlain. I just don't know anything about Palmetto Ridge. I'm just going to go with, if anything, Jefferson falls asleep against Chamberlain. Now they're going to use that. They're going to use that right there. That's going to be locker room material. Do not fall asleep against Chamberlain, right? You know that's going to happen. They have a. Oh yeah, right.
I've been there.
Right. So they're going to sleepwalk. They're going to come out flat, and then Chamberlain would have an opportunity to keep it close for a period of time. That's what I'm going to go with. Where's that game at?
That one.
Is that it? Is that Jefferson?
Hey, on a side note, we are going to be featuring the Jefferson kids on the site this week. So everybody pay attention to the Twitter, Big County Twitter. We're going to be featuring Jefferson and their players.
At Chamberlain, so Matt. It's at Chamberlain.
So Chamberlain home game. Yeah, that'll be a good game. So let me just stay on topic with Jefferson. I'm looking at their district. Chamberlain is a district game. And also, Robinson is a district game. Okay, Robinson is 1-3. Chamberlain is 3-2. Which we talked about Chamberlain and the James Wilder leaving. We weren't sure what was going to happen. They ended up winning the next game, I believe, against Freedom. So I think Jefferson is going to be the district champions. I don't see really any problems there unless Chamberlain can knock them off, like you're saying. Now. They get through the district. Let's look at the state. So they go through their playoffs. They're playing some teams. Can they make it to the state championship this year?
I have to open it up and see what that region looked like.
I think I'm going to give Jefferson. I think that they're going to be district champs this year, which is really great for them. Anything that happens after that, hopefully they can continue winning. I love seeing these teams that just kind of pop up out of nowhere. We talked about Jefferson being powerhouses back in the day. We talked about Tampa being super spread thin, where a lot of kids aren't, the gentrification in those areas and people are moving different places and going to the bigger schools. But now all of a sudden, Jefferson just comes out of nowhere from a 1-10 year, and they are literally going to win the district championship, and they're going to start fighting in the playoffs. Now, I'm not sure exactly. They're in the 3A, which let's pull them up and just see some of the teams that they would have to face. It's not pulling up on my end, but 3A. Who's some big powerhouses, Derek, in 3A?
I'm pulling 3A up now. I'm trying to see if I can find it real quick. And remember, the classifications just got reset yet again last year, so it's not. I don't know them all. Shit, I don't know him.
Yeah, I know the team names once you start mentioning them,
but we didn't finish our undefeated game.
All right, we can.
Yep. Yeah,
we can come back to the state championship.
Yeah, we can.
So undefeated.
Yeah, that.
I think
let's slide over.
So we have Strawberry Crest, and we have Armwood. Who do you guys want to go after first? Who's gonna continue the year off, or who's gonna get knocked off?
Let's look at Strawberry Crest. They've got a handful of tough games coming up, starting with Newsom this Friday. They're at Newsom, and then they host Plant City. So out of those two, are you thinking 2-0, 1-1?
Man, I hate to say this because I really like Strawberry Crest, but I think if I had to pick one, because honestly, I like both teams. As far as Plant City, I really enjoy watching them. I like a lot of the players. Chris Denson, quarterback. So Chris Denson versus Zy Floyd, Strawberry Crest. If we have to pick one, then I guess I think Plant City would be the one that knocks off Strawberry Crest. And Strawberry Crest, I promise, I love you boys, man. Keep it going. Keep winning. That is nothing personal. Derek is making us play this game. So if you see me at your game, do not yell at me. Go and yell at Derek. Nah, I think that's going to be a great game, actually. Plant City, Strawberry Crest.
You know what? Look. This is probably what they need. They need the naysayers. So right now we're probably helping them out. We're probably they'll get this. They'll get motivated. I'm not gonna quite overlook Newsom now.
Oh, Newsom was a great team.
Neither am I.
Do not go sleeping against Newsom. They will knock your head off too. Like you could go lose 2 games in a row if you don't play your cards right.
Here's what's fun about Strawberry Crest is that you look at it and you're like, yo, this is really good for them and the success that they're having. And you're like, okay, well, can they keep building on this year after year after year, right? So that's the fun part. And we're paying attention to them. Yeah. The other part about this is, okay, they got Newsom, Plant City, Sumner. 3 district games in a row. Yeah. All right? Sumner just upsets Plant, and in Sumner's credit, they're playing a lot better ball than what a lot of people anticipated them playing with what they lost to graduation, what they lost to transfer. They had a coaching change. A lot went on at Sumner. They're playing a lot better ball than anticipated. Plant City, on the right night, can beat anybody in the county. Just has to be that right night. And then they've got arguably one of the best quarterbacks, in the state, if you will. Now you look at Newsom. You kind of look at Newsom on the side. You're like, Newsom's right above 500, I believe. Without clicking on them to see the record, I want to say they're probably 3-2, and they're not the safe bet. The talent at Plant City naturally would probably upset Strawberry Crest, and then you're like, the talent at Sumner would likely upset Strawberry Crest, but nobody's really paying attention to a Newsom team that can sneak up and challenge just about anybody. I'm going to go in a dogfight that Newsom might be Strawberry Crest's first loss this Friday night. I'm going to go Newsom.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think, again, it's almost a coin toss, but yeah, Newsom has a really good chance. I saw some film of them, I think, last week. They got a running back. I want to see number 2 making some plays. They're always just got a solid, well-coached offensive line unit. So, yeah, that's going to be a heck of a fight, and I think Newsom's got a chance. So, absolutely.
All right, who's next, D?
You guys want to let's hop it over to Armwood. They got Plant coming up. They got Sickles, Steinbrenner, Wharton.
So that's the thing is, Armwood has already played their hardest teams. Tampa Bay Tech. I feel like that was probably if we did this at the beginning of the season. If I would have said who's the best team on their schedule, I mean, and that Tampa Bay Tech game, it came down to the last few minutes, and Armwood went down and scored. Yep. But I think Armwood's going to go 10-0 this year at this point. I don't really see any team but we have to pick one team that's going to beat the Wood. If out of these last couple games, if there is a team that's going to do it, it's going to be Plant. Plant is going to assemble their team. Everybody's looking at them. The quarterback, I believe he might be coming back this week. They do have Roy Marr on the line. He transferred from Armwood last year. He's one of my favorite. He's always been one of my favorite players ever since I've seen him play. He's a dog. If anybody's going to be Armwood at this point in the season, I don't think anybody can do it but Plant.
Well, let me throw a change up in there before you answer, Preston. Let's say that the same thing happens last year in terms of Tech and Armwood meeting up in the playoffs in that early round or two. Let's put a Tech. Let's interject Tech in the argument with Plant. So you got Plant regular season or Tech postseason. Do either of those 2 teams right there if you had to pick one. Because let's look at Tech now. They put 40 on Venice but lost. And it came down to the last little bit against Armwood. Is the Tech team, the Bay Area team that can move a long distance in the playoffs this year and upset Armwood, or do you think Plant gives them a loss?
If let's just put them in the same classification because I believe
they're
they're
in
in
two
two different
classifications.
classifications.
I was going to ask you, do they
But
believe?
Are they?
but a good question though. It's still a good question though. Let's try it. If we made it apples to apples, the good thing about what Tech does is they will always add to both sides of their playbook. All right. So the Tech team that you got at the beginning of the season, you'll get a progressively better Tech team, and they'll find those loopholes in your offense and or defense to expose you in those later rounds in the playoffs, or in this case, the earlier rounds in the playoffs. All right. So whatever happened at Armwood, that first Armwood Tech game a few weeks ago, that's not going to happen that next game. They'll be a much more prepared team. Now, the Plant game's a little tricky, and here's why. Plant did not have their starting quarterback when they played Tech, okay? Also, that Plant defense held a high-powered Tech offense to 2 offensive scores, all right? So you're like, what did Plant do defensively to kind of neutralize a high-powered, talented Tech offense? Now, we got to use the same theory because Tech was down the starting running back. And from all accounts, that starting running back is a game changer for Tech. So they're both down key players. I think that if I had to pick one, either a Tech team beating Armwood or a Plant team beating Armwood, for what we know, I think I would venture on is going to say Tech would probably beat Armwood. I think because that is a game that they naturally get up for. It's a rivalry game. It is something I think those coaching staffs aren't like buddy. So I think I would lean with Tech defeating Armwood the second time around. Now, here we go. We're looking at if we have to pick one, does Armwood fall? I mean, obviously we have to pick one. That's the name of the game. There's only 2 options. It's Plant and Steinbrenner. Steinbrenner is a lot. They're better coached than they get credit for. All right. Steinbrenner always kind of has those lulls. They'll go up and down. They have a high season. They have a low season. They're always in the hills and valleys, but they're a well-coached program, and they gave Gaither all they could handle before it kind of got away with them in the fourth quarter. Plant, I think, is going to be consistent. And if they get the starting quarterback back, I think this is a better game than people anticipate. So I'm going to go with a Plant defense that neutralized the Tech offense. And I'm going to say a more improved Tech offense, a more improved Plant offense if the starting quarterback, JC, is back for Plant. Okay. Because that gives them their signal caller. That allows them to put Tripp, the backup quarterback, back at his natural position. They get another playmaker on the perimeter. They get more play out of him on defense. It just makes them a stronger team. So if we have to pick one between Plant and Steinbrenner, I'm going Plant to upset Armwood.
And, speaking of Tech,
gotcha.
Santonio Isaac has been out. He didn't play against Armwood. He didn't play against Plant. He hasn't played. He injured himself. And when I spoke to him at the Armwood game, he's coming back in the playoffs. He will be back this year. And when you add Dallas and you have Lundy and you have and Santonio Isaac, I mean, Tech's offense is a tough offense to beat. They can throw like crazy. Number 12 on Tech, their running back, he ran like crazy against Armwood. I was actually watching some of the replays, and it was an interception that happened. Armwood picked off Tech, and he went to go make a block, and he got kind of ran over by the corner that intercepted it. And I seen the cornerback limped off the field. The running back for Tech, number 12, limped off the field. He got hurt. He didn't play a whole lot more in that game, and he had like an 85-yard run against Armwood. So that's the thing about football is staying healthy, obviously. But Tech, they're a very good team. You can't blink an eye at them. And, it was a battle to the end with that. Luckily, we're not going to see it. They're in two different classes this year, so we won't see that type of playoff. They'll hopefully Tech and Armwood. They're both incredible this year. I think they're going to make it. Plant, like you said, they're very consistent. They have a great team over there. They have their quarterback. They have a great defense. That's going to be that. They're one of their star players knows Armwood's offense. He's played with them for 3 years. He knows. He's probably talking to his boys in the locker room at Plant, preparing for them this Friday. So Armwood, though, the two players that really stand out on Armwood's defense is Riley and Cam White. So those are the two linebackers. And I believe that those two guys, man, I haven't really seen many quarterbacks get off on them. They stay in their face. I mean, those two boys. So Armwood just looks really, really good, and I believe that they are going to go 10-0 this year. And then, so I started digging deeper, and I'm like, well, how are they looking in the whole class? They're in the 6A class. Max Preps has them ranked number 1 in the whole 6A. And they are 5-0. The only other team that's 5-0 is Wiregrass Ranch. So it's possible that Armwood plays a Wiregrass Ranch in the playoffs to get through the Tampa market and start playing some of these other teams in the Florida. But I think this year is the year for Armwood to take it all the way to states. I really like to see being from Tampa, I want to see a Tampa team win the state championships. We were fortunate enough to see these last couple of years. We had Berkeley Prep win it. We had Jesuit win it. I know Tech, they made it all the way and ended up getting beat by St. Thomas Aquinas a few years ago. But I would like to see a team from Tampa go all the way and win the state championship. And I think that can be Armwood this year. What they're looking at, their team, I mean, they got players on like Alante Dean, like he's on both sides of the ball. They even have Tyler Williams. He'll play cornerback if he has to, and Jalen Waters. Let me give him a little shout out. He's a great corner. He's committed to Florida right now. He marked up Dallas Wilson on that Tech game, and Dallas really didn't get off. He had one big run. And I was watching the highlights. I mean, they did a little screen pass to him, and he probably ran for like 40 yards probably. But you see Alante Dean just come across this whole field and knock him out of bounds. And that is a touchdown every time by Dallas. And he gets off like that, there's not very many teams that can shut him down. So Armwood's defense is incredible right now. To be able to shut down players like a Dallas, and I mean, Dallas to me is
You are about to get everybody on here in trouble saying shut down with Dallas.
Oh, man. Well, the reason why I say that is he, to me, is probably the best player in Hillsborough County right now. And so I know that might ruffle some feathers, but I think Dallas, his skill level and plus his attitude, when you add both of those together, I mean, like Oregon, they got a top prospect coming their way. So to shut him down is very, very hard. So that's why I don't see that happening very often. That's the reason why I use that term. But he wasn't able to do a whole lot, And the other thing, it was because he was the main receiver for Tech. But when you add Santonio Isaac back to the mix, it's hard not to those boys are going to ball out. And I'm thinking Tech has a healthy team. They probably are going to run it all the way through 5A. I believe they would have to go against. If they made it all the way to states, I think like a Lakeland would probably make it all the way to states. I believe Lakeland's 5A as well. I mean, that's going to be
they'll be in the same region, so that'd be like a third round game. But I'll just keep this in perspective. Is that you have, and not to move too far, but just because you brought it to my attention, is that you got a Tech offense. You have a Tech offense with a relatively new quarterback in their system and their starting running back goes down, and you have a Santonio Isaac who you lost in a few weeks earlier to that. So you got Dallas, like you said, who is their main target, and a quarterback who's still getting comfortable within that system, and an offensive and an offensive coaching staff that is still trying to highlight what their quarterback does well. So Dallas is naturally going to be the easy target for the defense. So I would say that all things went in I wouldn't say Dallas was shut down. I would say that Dallas had
game plan to get
Dallas. All things weren't working in Dallas's favor for him to have as much success as he normally would have, and that's just calling a spade a spade. Obviously, you're going to have a great pass rush out of Armwood. You're going to have a great defensive backs on Armwood. That in alone is going to make any receiver have a hard time. That's number one. But at the same time, you got to kind of, football is football. You got a new quarterback who's still learning the system. Only I think that was like the third game of the season. You got a new quarterback who's still learning the system, third game in the season. You got an offensive coaching staff that's still trying to figure out what their offense collectively does well, and Dallas is the guy. So we'll just say 8 games from now, if they were to play this 8 games from now in the first or second round of a playoff game, if that, and obviously they can't happen, 2 different classifications, but if they played again in the future, let's say game 8 or game 9, it would probably be a different result where it's more balanced. That Dallas is going to get his, and then that secondary is going to play well also. They're going to get theirs. Now, with Plant and Armwood, they can see each other again. Remember, they're the same district. Both those teams have a good shot of making the playoffs, even with 1 or 2 losses on their schedule. So no matter what, who wins this game, they'll see each other second round. They can see each other again in that second or third round, depending on how the rankings lay out.
Yes, all right, man. Hey, speaking of, let's do Lakeland. We got to pick a loss for Lakeland.
All right, pick a loss for Lakeland. All right, we got to get Lakeland.
We talked last week about specially fit. We got a tough Sebring team on their schedule as well. And let's pull them up and
let's look at a Lakeland. Guys. Let's look at a Lakeland.
Ooh.
Man, Lakeland 4-0. Ooh. They actually play SFA. Guys, we talked about this when we interviewed the coach last week. So does SFA become the team that beats Lakeland? I'll just go ahead and throw it that way. SFA is going to beat Lakeland. We'll just throw it out
there. That's their loss? That's what you're going with?
Yeah, why not? Lakeland they're just powerhouse of Florida, I feel like.
Oh, man. So Lake Gibson, Sumner, Sebring, specially fit, Kathleen. I'm going in looking at what Sebring's doing. Sebring would be a safe pick because they're traditionally always a pretty steady program. They're sitting at 500, 2-2 right now. Any quality wins for them? They've got a good Martin County win. They got a big win over Clewiston, but 51-7 doesn't sound like a normal Clewiston. Then they got a quality loss to Lake Wells, 13-14. I am probably going to lean. We got to pick one. If this would have been the Sumner team from last year, I'd have said Sumner. I'm going to go with, we got to pick one. I'm just going to go with Sebring.
That is a safe choice.
That's a safe choice.
The other piece to that is, they've had traditionally a nice little rivalry built up. Kathleen's been their rivalry, and then they've battled Lake Gibson. So Lakeland, Lake Gibson has been a nice little rivalry as well. So I don't want to discount that game at all because Lake Gibson always seems to play them very tough, and they've had a series of close games. So, you'd have to pick Lake Gibson or Sebring. So I'll go Lake Gibson with an upset coming up in that little rivalry. So we'll see.
And Lake Gibson's sitting at 2-2 right now. And they have, let me see if they got any quality wins. They had a massive win against Durant. Looks like that may have been in the preseason classic.
Early on.
Big win against Haines City. Haines City's been down for a number of years. Dunellen, they lost 20-0. Lake Mineola, they fought with Lake Mineola. Lake Mineola is always a good program, 14-7. So quality wins against Lake Mineola. And that's it. But they had a bad loss to Durant. Very bad loss to Durant.
Yep.
All right.
We
Who's
got
left,
Leonard.
Derek?
We got Leonard on the board. 5-0 Leonard.
All right.
And same thing.
All right.
Congrats, Leonard. Playing great ball this year. Love to see it. These boys just coming out of nowhere and making non-believers into believers. The Leonard Longhorn. So shout out to them. But we got to pick somebody that could knock you off. I'm looking at their schedule, and I see a very strong, actually undefeated Palmetto team. So I'm hoping that Leonard can stay tough and get through this, and even a 9-1, an 8-2, like if they can get through their season, I'm proud of Leonard. I think that's great. But if I have to pick a team, I'm gonna go ahead and say Palmetto.
Oh, I'll say Plant City.
Plant City.
And maybe not even discount Lakewood Ranch. I don't think Lakewood Ranch is going to have enough talent around that to upset a very swaggy, highly confident Leonard program. I think they're at Plant City. Leonard comes to Plant City on the 4th of October. I think that a program like Plant City, in that locker room, they're going to be posting the narrative of calm these dudes down. Hey, look, enough is enough. They had their little hype session. They won their games. Now we introduced them to what a real schedule looks like. I think that would be the narrative in that locker room. I'm going to go with Plant City on the 4th of October is the best chance for Leonard to experience their first loss.
I can see that as well. Plant City is really good. Chris Denson,
I'm gonna split the difference with you guys, and I'm gonna split the difference with you guys. I'm gonna go Parrish County. Parrish is one of these teams that kind of stay under the radar a little bit. They're a newer program, and but they were kind of a program that came out initially with talent and some success real early on. And if you pay attention to that schedule there, their only loss was to Palmetto. And not only was it their only loss, it was a close loss. And so this Parrish team has had some talent in its early stages. They kind of remind me of a Durant team early on when they first came up and found some very good early success. But yeah, I would not discount this Parrish team at all. They're actually a nice team, some good talent, running back, tight end. They do something with that.
I didn't know Eric Sanders was the coach at Palmetto. Do you know anything about Eric Sanders?
I say I don't, but I mean, I've dealt with so many coaches over 25 years. Hell, he may have spent time in my house with, I just don't know. I know all coaches by coach, quite honestly. So I don't know.
Because here's what's very encouraging about Palmetto. They went through a coaching changes. Derek, correct me if I'm wrong, or Matt. They may have like 3 different head coaches in the last 4 years. Like, it's been a revolving door after Marino stepped down, and it just hasn't been any consistency at Palmetto. But with the new coach coming in, I can only think that he got those remaining players to see his vision, try to set that culture, and for a program like Palmetto, who has been really tradition rich and then kind of went through that valley for those number of years, to start off the way that they've started off this season, that's real dope, man. That's pretty surprising. I would not have guessed Palmetto, after all these changes, would be undefeated. A winning record right now? Yeah, absolutely. But undefeated with the quality schedule that they've had, I'm just looking at the schedule, like the Parrish Communities win, that's quality. Alonzo, Newsom, Sarasota Riverview. They play Gateway coming up this weekend. Like, that's a good schedule for that program. So kudos, man. I like that. I like seeing that at Palmetto. I did not know that.
Yep. Hey, real quick, guys. Again, just to reiterate, we are going to be featuring Jefferson prospects on the Big County Twitter. We're also going to be adding some additional 5A prospects out of Pasco. They've got a sophomore DN tight end kid, Preston, that I think you'll like a lot. So we're going to be featuring his stuff. I'm breaking his film down right now. And also, I wanted to note mid-season highlights. Guys, get your games to us. We're not linking up already made highlights. Get over the game film. We'll get you broken down and featured on the platform in the right way. Get you plenty thousand video views and all that good stuff. A lot of exposure, and we'll reach out to college coaches in addition to that. So hit us up with your game film, and let's do it. Preston, you got anything?
I don't know. I'm not sure if we lost Matt. I can see him on my screen, but I got a message on our platform that say he may not be recording. Matt, so I'm not sure if Matt is recording, but Derek, did we finish with all of our undefeated teams? Did we go through everybody?
We got Venice, so
Okay.
I'm going to challenge. Let's. Basically, I'm just going to challenge you. Pick your winner, regardless of CCC Venice. That's they got their a big rival coming up in Sarasota Riverview. You tell me what are you thinking on Venice?
All right, so let me pull them up. Let me pull them up real quick.
They do play IMG, but I'm not. Quite honestly, when we're talking high school, I don't count IMG. So,
all right,
but
I'm pulling up Venice's schedule right now. So I think I gave mine. I think mine was CCC because we were talking about CCC because I gave St. Francis CCC's first loss, and I gave CCC a win over Venice. So I'm gonna go. They got Lehigh, a great win against Cocoa. That was a shootout. IMG, that's probably gonna be the national team. I'm not gonna count them. I'm gonna go. Their best shot of being upset is gonna be the 18th of October versus CCC.
I totally agree. It's gonna be a hell of a matchup. So hey, let's wrap it.
Let's wrap it.
It's been a heck of a show. Matt popped off, but we're let's look forward to next week. We got some great games coming up this week. So everybody stay safe in the storm coming up, and see you on the other side of that.
My man. All right. Let's see what we got. Hopefully I got a message. I know he said his phone was dying at some point in time. Let's see what we got.
Yeah,
I'm glad we had him for most of the show, so we should be good.
Yep. Yeah, that was a long one. It was good though, but I got they're not on yet, but I do have a meeting. I pushed back at 3.
All right, hold on. I'm trying to make sure.
Matt had to throw in if they advance 3A. What do you guys say?
I'm like, Matt. Wait, man. Let's hold on.
I have no I know what I watch on film. I could not tell you shit about